Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined alongside Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. The Lions, Ziggy, the Detroit Lions are going to the NFC Championship Game. You know, we have a lot of friends who are Lions fans, and they've been waiting their entire lives for a moment like this. They've never, this is unprecedented territory for them. We'll shout out Tom Monroe again, our friend, 6 straight shows now. Him and the other Lions fans we know are celebrating as much as they can tonight because they are one win away from the Super Bowl with a 31-23 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Ziggy, we were talking about this right before we hopped on. The job that Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, this whole Detroit Lions organization has done over the past few years to take a perennial loser in the Lions and bring them to this point is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Sheila Ford Hamp took over this team in 2020. After that season, they had one tough year. They went, 3-12-1, something like that, 3-13-1. And then they went 9-8, and now they're playing for the freaking Super Bowl, just about. They're playing for the NFC Championship just 2 years after a horrible season. You know, they've managed their off seasons well. You know, some of the players who people weren't super excited about them taking, they got a lot of complaints for taking Brian Branch and Jahmyr Gibbs, including from people like us. The Lions do things their own way. And so far, it seems like they've got a team that is ready to play. And it's brought them one of the most successful Lions seasons of all time.
Look, you guys, I know you guys didn't like the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. You're anti-running back, but I loved it in the time. If you're that all in on a player, and he really took over down the stretch of this game here. Jahmyr Gibbs was great, but Jared Goff, he's the story, his turnaround, taking down his former team in the wild card round. And now I said to my dad, to have the stadium, Ford Field, chanting your name. It's just awesome for Jared Goff, who has had an up and down career here, but is having one of the better seasons of his career in Detroit right now. But yeah, you look back over the draft classes here. I said this a couple of shows ago, but Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Laporta, Brian Branch this year, Aiden Hutchinson the year before, Penei Sewell. This Detroit team really is homegrown, in addition to bringing in Jared Goff, another outcast at the time coming from the Rams. It's easy to support this team, but you have to look at the way that they've approached this thing. It's been patience, really, because you said just a few years ago that record was not too hot, but they've nailed most of their draft picks, and they've built a culture there that is unlike anything Lions fans have seen in 3 decades. So great for them. I just want to talk about the game a little bit with you. You go and look at the drive charts here for the Lions. The offense really took over in the second half. They punted on their first possession, but from then on out, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. That one punt towards the end, and then the end of game was a really impressive end to this for me for Detroit. I think that 3rd and 15 on the touchdown drive to give the Lions a 2-touchdown advantage. I tweeted it out. It might be the biggest throwing catch the Lions have seen in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, this was always how it had to be for the Lions to win this game, right? The Buccaneers offense is explosive. When you've got Baker Mayfield making big plays to guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you're going to need the offense to step up. And Ben Johnson and the offense had a slow start to the first half. But you saw what this Lions team is capable of what they were able to do in the second half. And they were just firing on all cylinders. Right, whether you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown making big catches, whether it's Sam Laporta bowling guys over, whether it's Jahmyr Gibbs getting a 20, 30-yard run, it feels like whenever you need it, everything was going right for this team. And it's exciting to see that the offense is capable of doing that, because they're certainly going to need performances like that to continue. On the other side, when they really needed big plays, CJ Gardner-Johnson and Derek Barnes both were able to get big interceptions. Barnes getting the one that sealed the game, Gardner-Johnson a little bit earlier. But their ability to generate pressure, generate turnovers, there were a whole lot of sacks, there were a whole lot of pressures. It was a complete performance from the Lions.
Yeah, they had 4 sacks on the day. Aiden Hutchinson was getting back there a lot. It was kind of weird. They were talking about on the broadcast, there were a few plays where people were just running in unmanned into the Tampa Bay backfield. But the Lions were able to take advantage of that. Shout out to Frank Ragnow, who got a lot of commentary during the broadcast today. But that performance from him going up against Vita Vea with the injuries he had. You could see the look of anguish on his face half the time he was walking off the field. That's the kind of performance you need to get to an NFC Championship game. And it was gutsy. It was, it reminded me of what Dan Campbell's built here, the toughness that Detroit has right now. And you said it before, they're going to need it going into San Francisco. This is a great time for Lions fans right now. I'm not super confident that they're going to be able to hang in there with the 49ers, especially because San Francisco should be on guard more than ever following a sluggish start and ultimately what I thought was a pretty fortunate win against the Packers just last night. When you look ahead to this Lions 49ers matchup, are you expecting Detroit to go in there and give the 49ers a good game?
I don't want to make firm predictions yet because my gut's telling me the Lions are going to win that game. And I need to do some research to back that up. But here is the formula for beating the 49ers that we have seen over and over again. I mean, I say over and over again. We've seen it a couple times this season, but almost every game that they lose or play close is the same formula. You need an explosive running game. Lions have that. You need people that can pressure Brock Purdy. The Lions have that. You need players who can generate turnovers. We saw this game. The Lions certainly have that. So I think people are going to count this team out. They're going to say, look, it's the 49ers. The 49ers have more talent. They've got 1 million All-Pros. The Packers played the 49ers really close and frankly should have won. And this Lions team, I think, has substantially more talent at almost every position than the Packers. There's a decent chance, I think, that this Lions team upsets the 49ers. So I definitely think we're going to get a good game.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I'm expecting most people throughout this week to have San Francisco winning heavy.
And don't you just know the Lions are going to love that? Right? Dan Campbell's going to take out a boombox or whatever and put on every single person saying the Lions have no chance. They're going to get manhandled by the 49ers. The 49ers are more physical. They're bigger. They're stronger.
And that's what the Packers with the run game, as you mentioned, they had a lot of success with Aaron Jones last night. There might not be, there aren't many rushing attacks better than the two-headed monster, Gibbs and Montgomery, that Detroit boasts. As long as that offensive line is healthy going into the game, I expect them to lean heavily on those two in the contest. And we'll see, ultimately it's going to come down to Jared Goff playing the way he did today and not making mistakes. Those 2 picks from Jordan Love are what cost the Packers last night. It's a team you can't make too many errors against, but it'll be fun. I mean, everyone's expecting, or most people, maybe not you, will be expecting San Francisco to win. But this Detroit story is it's just unbelievable that the Lions are potentially playing for a Super Bowl. And I mean, Ford Field, I credit to them. The past 2 games, that atmosphere that they've provided has just been raucous. It looks so much fun to be in that stadium today, and they deserve it. After 30 years, I think they played a big part in both of the wins. Real quick, we can hit on the Buccaneers for just a second. You have to give a lot of credit to the Bucs, a season where they were expected to be a bottom 5, bottom 10 team in the NFL.
Not bottom 5, not bottom 10, bottom 3.
Yeah, bottom 3. They were from the win-loss projections. Jack on our show predicted the Bucs to win the division. We were saying during the game, or I know you texted him, Jack, I was so wrong. I'm so sorry. But Baker did a great job coming in this year. We'll talk a lot more about the future of him in Tampa Bay, but a great season for the Bucs that ultimately comes up just 8 points short there. And the NFC South is not looking good right now. So they might be right back here again next season.
I mean, I think there's a good chance they will. Baker Mayfield has played himself into a starting quarterback job. He threw for 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And in this game, I get that Baker Mayfield, he had some bad interceptions. He made the last play of the game. That's going to be what sticks out to people. Yeah. But you have to keep in mind, in a year when the Buccaneers had maybe the worst run game in the entire league, Baker Mayfield reinvented himself and showed the kind of player he can be when he's healthy. I don't know whether he's going to stick with the Bucs or go somewhere else, but Baker Mayfield has shown he is clearly a starting NFL quarterback.
Is he, and I know we don't want to jump too far into this, but is he someone that you would be confident in if you were cheering for a fan base? Because I would not. I know he played really well, but Baker doesn't feel like to me that someone going into a season I'd be super pumped up about bringing in if if we took him in this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield, I don't think is the kind of player you want to be the quarterback of your franchise forever. But say you draft a rookie and you're looking for a guy who the rookie can sit behind for a few weeks or even a season.
Yeah.
Say you're one of those teams that are out there where you're just not sure what you want to do at quarterback and you want a stopgap option. Baker Mayfield, he only made a few $1 million this year. Yeah. If he's a guy that you want to offer, say, a couple years, 30, 35 million a year, I think that is a very reasonable deal. Because you look at the kinds of players who have gotten deals like that. Like, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Daniel Jones. I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Derek Carr. I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Geno Smith or Jimmy G.
No, I get where you're coming from.
There's definitely going to be a market there, and you're going to see bidding for this guy. And I mean, look, here's the thing. The Buccaneers are one of the lowest talent teams in the NFL, just like as a total. I mean, there's certainly good players on the team, but we're not talking about the 49ers here. And they beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They played very close of the Lions, who have a chance of going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. I mean, they had a great season. They performed way above expectations. And when you look at the team, there is some great talent. I mean, Mike Evans was just unbelievable today. Most of the year, he was great. Continues to do it. It was his 10th season now. One of the more underrated players in the league somehow. But we'll see what Tampa Bay winds up doing. If they do look for a new quarterback, I can see that. They don't feel like they're that close to winning right now, despite how far they got this season. But maybe you do run it back. You bring in some more guys and then contend in a weak NFC South. We'll talk a lot more about that in the coming weeks.
We'll talk about it in our offseason show. Yeah, because they've got, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield, all upcoming free agents, big decisions to make in Tampa.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun offseason covering them. But for now, we'll turn back to the Lions 31-23 win over the Buccaneers to go to the NFC Championship game. We'll be back with more reactions later tonight and throughout this week, talking about the divisional round. Thanks for everyone who's listening. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers, pushing towards 10,000, hoping to hit that by the Super Bowl or by the end of the Super Bowl. So again, we thank everyone who's been coming along on this playoff journey with us. We'll see you soon.